Hi, it's Granny Jane again. This week we are going to make sourdough bread. First I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and then I'll get with it. And I won't talk too long, okay? Now, I have been making sourdough bread for over 40 years. And I know that sounds like I'm lying, but I'm not. And the first sourdough that I had was not a liquid like this one is. The first one I had was made with flour, and it was in a Cool Whip box when my friend brought it to me, and I would make sourdough bread with that, and then that eventually I let it die when I moved, and so then I got this sourdough starter, and this one is made with water and flour and instant potato flakes. Now, with sourdough bread, you need to always be using a glass bowl, a plastic or wooden spoon, or you can use a plastic bowl. Store it in a plastic or a glass container. I prefer glass because I really don't trust plastic too much. And always use all glass utensils, never metal. You're never supposed to let metal touch your sourdough bread. Even glass baking pans, which are terrible because you drop them on the floor and they break. But anyway, so always remember, no metal, because it interacts with the sourdough starter and the sourdough in some way, but I'm not a scientist. All right, I have made this sourdough bread for family gatherings, for church dinners. I would take it with me to school when I was teaching for a treat for the other teachers. So let's get right to the sourdough. First of all, we're going to feed the starter. Now, you'll just have to find somebody that's got a starter and ask them if they could spare a cup of starter for you, because I don't know how to make this particular starter, or you can go out and probably find it on the internet. I just haven't ever had to. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take a 2-cup measuring cup and we're going to put 1 cup of water in it. Put it in the microwave for 1 minute. Now, you know all microwaves are different, so yours might not heat it enough. You want it just warm enough to where you put your finger in it that it feels hot, not a burning hot. But if you get it too hot, you're going to put sugar and the potato flakes in it, and that'll kind of cool it down a little bit too. Okay, we've got our water, and yes, it's very hot to the touch. Now, into this we're going to stir 3 tablespoons of instant potato flakes. No particular brand, just instant potatoes. I'm going to stir that around with my wooden spoon. And you want to stir that just maybe not a whole minute, but just until you can tell when those instant potatoes dissolve in there. You don't want them to be whole floating around in there. And then we're going to add a 1/2 cup of sugar. And we're going to stir that until it's well dissolved. And we're going to put it in our, this is my sourdough starter, so we're going to stir it just a bit before we put I shook it up when I first got it out of the fridge, but it's been sitting here. I keep it in the refrigerator so that, I don't know, I guess some people might keep theirs out, but I don't ever trust that. Now we're going to pour that into the starter, and then we're going to mix it well. So we're not going to tighten the lid on it. We're just going to sit the lid on it. There you go. And so we're going to wait 8 hours, and we're going to come back, and we're going to make our dough for our sourdough bread. I also have a recipe for sourdough cinnamon rolls that you make when you first start making your dough. You're going to add self-rising flour to it instead of the regular dough. I'll share that recipe with you after we get finished making our bread. So if you get good at the bread, then you can make cinnamon rolls Is she taking pictures of you? He says she's going to get me with that. Good morning. It's Granny Jane here, and today we're going to have step 2 in making our sourdough bread. Yes, last night or yesterday we fed Herman, and here's the fed Herman here. I have 2 Hermans, so I have to keep them straight. All right, we fed Herman and we let him sit overnight, and so this morning we're going to make our dough. And we've got a pretty good sized bowl here. That's probably like a 4-quart bowl. Not real sure. We're going to start with 1 cup of hot water. Not real hot, but I heated it for 1 minute in my microwave. Okay, and I can stick my finger in there. All right. Then we're going to add 1/2 cup of cooking oil. You can use canola oil, vegetable oil. I wouldn't use olive oil, but I guess you could if you wanted to. All right, now to this mixture, we're going to add our Herman, our sourdough starter. We named him Herman. I think the people that I got him from called him Herman too. So here we have 1 cup of Herman. Now, if you weren't going to make bread, you could throw that 1 cup away, or you could start you another Herman. But anyway, you have to discard a cup out of your Herman after you fed him. You don't need to have much more than this, a cup left in your Herman, because that makes him weak. So we're going to stir this up. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of salt. And yes, I do it my way. A 1/2 cup of sugar. Now, you don't have to add that much sugar if you don't want a really sweet bread. You can use 1/4 cup. I would suggest putting some sugar in it, because you know all these chemicals have to be mixing up in here correctly, so you will need just a little sugar in there. Everything works together to make this dough rise. And now we're going to start adding our flour. This is bread flour. I have used just all-purpose flour, but it seems like the bread flour makes a better bread. We're going to stir that in. They're going to have lumps in there. Don't worry about it. We're going to stir in 4.5 to 5 cups of bread flour. So there's 4. Let's put 1/2. And stir that up. Now, I don't know why. Sometimes you can put 4 cups in there and it works out fine. Sometimes you can put 5 cups in there and it's still wet. I never know. You just have to mix it up. You need to keep working on it until you get it all mixed together. All the dry ingredients need to be moistened up. Now, you see what I'm using is a spatula here with a rubber end on it and everything. And that is really good for wiping down the sides of the bowl and getting all the flour in there. Making sure you get it up from the bottom. You have to get a good stout one, though. You can't get a flimsy one, because you're going to be putting some muscle to it. Now, see how that's kind of dry in there? You want to keep working until you get that moistened up. Because if you don't, when you bake the bread, it's going to have little dry patches in it. Scaly patches in the bread. We don't want that, do we? All right. Now, I have clean hands. I always wash my hands before I cook. Take my ring off. And I'm going to work it just a little bit with my hand to make sure that it has enough flour in it. And it does need just a little bit more. And you'll know because it'll be really, really sticky. And then you'll know then that you have to work a little bit more in there. Now, if you want to, you could get a bigger bowl. This is just the one I've always used, so I'm used to it.
How much will this make?
This will make 3 pretty good sized loaves of bread, like 8-inch loaf pans. All right, we've got all that smoothed out. It's not too wet, not too dry. And I just punch it down with my, if you're really mad at somebody, this is a really good workout. Get that all punched down in there, make it flat. We've got it all made. So we're going to get some saran wrap. And we're going to cover the bowl. Real good. And we're going to sit it in a warm place, which is always the back of my gas stove because, it's always warm back there. Finley, did you help us with the bread this morning? There's Finley. He helps a lot, as you can tell. All right, so now we're going to wait until this evening, and we're going to make the loaves and set them to rise overnight. And then tomorrow morning, we'll get up and bake them. So, see you tonight. Well, we're back. It's been about 8 hours since we put the dough to rise, and you can see it rose up very well. It's coming out over the edges of the bowl. So now we're going to sprinkle our counter with some flour. Kind of put some on your hands so the dough won't stick to them too much. And we're going to divide this dough into 3 loaves, and we're going to knead it for, it says in the recipe to knead it 10 times. So anyway, we'll do whatever we need to do. All right, so just fold it over and mash it down. Mash it down. What you want to do is you want to get some more flour into it, and you want it to be nice and smooth so that the bread will be very smooth and it won't have big holes in it. I always just, right before I put it over in the pan, I kind of rub it out like that. Now, I have sprayed these with some cooking spray, these bread pans. So we'll put those in there. Do another one. After you do this for a while, you just sort of develop your own technique. But you'll know when it gets real spongy, then you know it's ready to go. All right, so now we've got them all rolled out. I put mine in my oven to proof overnight. You want to remember to put it on the lower rack in your oven, or you can put it even on the lowest rack if you want to. Make sure that your bread pans are not touching in any way. And then you're going to leave them overnight, and tomorrow morning we'll turn the oven on to 300 and we'll bake it. Okay, this morning I got up and I turned my oven on and baked the bread, and I turned it on to 300 degrees and baked it for about 45 minutes. And now the baking time will vary with different ovens. You can see it rose up really well. It's all nice and brown on the bottom and everything. That's just exactly the way you want it to look. Now, we'll cut into one of them and look what it looks like on the inside. Actually, I've already sampled it, but anyway, this is what the texture looks like on your bread. That's what all that kneading does for it. It makes it have pretty texture like the bread that you buy at the grocery store. Let's see how it tastes. You have to put a little butter on it. That's perfect. Really good. Now, I hope you'll try making some sourdough bread because it's very rewarding. Like you can see, it doesn't take a lot of time all at once, but it does take 2 or 3 days of a little bit of work. And then you've got 3 loaves of bread or more if you want to make more bread and have another Herman. Don't worry, it's not rocket science. Anybody can do it. Just follow the directions and you'll have it done. I hope you enjoy your bread when you get it made. Trust God, work hard, and remember to eat well. Finley likes it, so it must be good.